Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. Couple things before we get started. I have a couple of yoga blocks. If you are without those, don't worry. A couple of thick books, if you can find some of those, would be a great tool. I have a folded blanket, which is just the blanket from my couch, but you could use a beach towel, a bath towel. I am standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, I suggest a part of your house that's carpeted, or maybe you've got a rug that's not going to slip out from underneath you. Just nothing that's too hard or slick. We will start actually today seated in a cross-legged position. You might already start to use your toys. You might sit cross-legged on your block or book. You could even do that on your folded blanket, right, Tippy? You could do that on your dog bed. Best prop of all, to have a nice little pup nearby. And then let's sit cross-legged. Doesn't matter to me which of your shins is in front, but I would like for you to notice which one of your shins is in front. Just a little awareness as we get seated and started. And then with your palms up or down, let's land in this moment. So bringing awareness, knowing which shin is in front, knowing where we are in space. All of that is part of our mindfulness practice that we want to set forth right now. So once you get settled and as still as you can, consider closing your eyes. If that's uncomfortable for you, just divert your gaze. And let's stop so that we can start. Blink your eyes open if you close them. Take your fingertips back behind you and grow as tall through your spine as you can. My guess is you're going to feel some stretch in your hips and in your inner thighs. Often people feel like they have to fold forward in these hip stretches to get something out of them. I'm a very big fan of bringing our hands behind us and a tall spine into the mix. After all, that's what we would like best to encourage out there in the world, right? We're pretty good at collapsing and shriveling and being in front of our computers. At least I know I am. Let's inhale our arms up and turn to the right. Take the back of your left hand to the outside of that right thigh, and then your right hand is still behind you, so you can use that to continue that nice tall spine as we inhale, and then we just explore a little bit of a twist as we exhale. Stay curious. Come through center, reach your arms like a V shape, and then we'll just turn to our left fingertips now behind us, and then back of your right hand to the outside of that left thigh. And then we inhale and grow tall. And we exhale and snuggle a little bit into our twist. Then we unravel and take another note of that shin that was in front and cross the other way. Now this time when we cross, if you happen to have crossed at the ankles, let's tighten up the cross a little bit. That just means walk your 2 feet in opposite directions as if you wanted to angle your ankles underneath your knees. Take your fingertips behind you, scoot your butt back, not forward, but back. Lo and behold, I'm guessing you're feeling a little more glute stretch, which is what we want. When we talk about stretching our hips, it's really about our glute muscles around our hips that are stretching. So when we don't load our knees being too far forward and we scoot back, we actually get a little bit more out of it. It's also letting us know when we get into some hip stability where our hips are. The stretch is bringing awareness that way as well. 3 moments here. If you want to walk forward, you can, but like I said, that tends to encourage a rounding spine. I'm a very big fan of being a little bit more upright. Waggle your legs out in front of you, and we'll still use that same what's called external rotation in our hips. As we come to hands and knees, I'm turning sideways and off my mat and stuff so that I'm easy to see, but you can remain on your mat. So we're in hands and knees, and it's important that we don't collapse. And then we will align right hand, right knee, left foot, all down the middle of your mat, which obviously is not quite true for me. And then hug that right hip underneath you. Like the same action that we found in our seated cross-legged position. Left hand on your hip. That helps to know where your pelvis is. So we're not folding forward here. We're really actively hugging that right hip underneath. I think sometimes curling my right toes under is helpful. You also might use your folded blanket to pad your right knee. No collapse into our right shoulder. And then this is perfect. You might take your left arm up to the sky. You might even lift your left leg. Watch out for your props. But you now have to really hug that right hip underneath you. It becomes an anchor, whether you lift your left leg or not. 3 moments here. Stamp that left foot down. And then just bring yourself to hands and knees. And come kneeling, because sometimes just shaking out our wrists is a bit important. I'm turning myself around so that, again, I'm easy to see and I don't turn my back on you. And then let's organize what we're creating here. So press into your arms. Now it's left hand, left knee, right foot, all on the middle of your mat, clearly not mine. You can curl your left toes under. You can pad that left knee. Hug that left hip underneath you. Right hand onto your hip. And this is enough. Maybe you like to play around as you oomph into this left hand with lifting your right leg. And things get a little bit more wobbly. You can also take your right arm up to the sky. You do you. If you tumble out of it, have a chuckle, climb back in. And then we'll gently place our right foot on the ground, eventually our right hand on the ground. And here we are in our hands and knees, on our hands and knees. I'll now make my way back onto my mat. Let's make it a child's pose. Now, child's pose is taught hips sinking onto your heels. The reality is, for some of us, that's not going to happen in our knees. So your child's pose can be with you reaching a little bit forward and not quite as much knee flexion or knee bend. Maybe your head rests on the ground. For a lot of us, that's not going to be the case. But we'll use this to become what I like to say is like a little bit sassy. So reach your arms forward if they're not. Lift your hips up. Plant your hands. Curl your toes under. Step your legs about as wide as your mat. And then we'll make this a downward facing dog, as if there were a hook in our tailbone and it's lifting us up and back. We're not going to straighten our legs, but we are going to press into our arms and feel our arms and ears try to line up. And then it's as if you're trying to place your hips into that corner where the ceiling and the wall meet. Walk your feet forward to your hands. You arrive hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands back down, exhale. Then we inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. We'll stand here in our mountain, palms facing out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, and for this first one, take your hands to your thighs. Inhale, press your hands onto your thighs, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge a little bit deeper. Maybe slide your hands down to your shins. We're not trying to get really far to the ground. Remember how I was a fan of our fingers behind us when we were seated in our cross-legged? Try to bring that long spine here. You might slide your hands a little bit lower, but it doesn't really matter. And then we'll inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky. And we'll pause here, palms facing out. Let's keep flowing. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up. Bend your knees deeply. Place your palms flat. Make sure they're flat before we step back to that down dog we did. You might now be hip distance instead of a little wider, but a little wider can be great. Remember, we're trying to shoot our hips up towards where the wall and ceiling meet up. And now shift forward, shoulders over wrists, much like we did when we launched that side plank. And then let your hips lift you up and back. Down dog. We'll do this 2 more times. So shift forward, shoulders over wrists, and then glide it back to downward facing dog. Just do your best. Shift forward, shoulders over wrists. This time plant your knees down. Now they're not as close to your hands as when you're on all fours. So You can carefully wander them back about 3 inches further back than hands and knees. Press into your arms so that we don't sink into our joints. Let's use our muscles. Lean a little bit forward. Let's see how slowly we can lower to our belly with our elbows brushing against our ribs as we go. And then once we're down here, uncurl your toes. Bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. Traction your elbows towards you. Press into the tops of your feet till your kneecaps lift, so we are using our legs. And then let your chest just move through the gateway of your arms here in what's called Sphinx pose. Lower down, slide your hands next to your ribs, curl your toes under, keep your elbows in as opposed to winging out, and in one chunk, come to all fours. Now find that hook in your tailbone. We return to our down dog. And then walk forward, feet come up to your hands. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold it in. Then we inhale, rise, reach, arms to the sky. And we pause here in our mountain palms, facing out. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, palms go flat as we step to down dog. Remember, your hips are going to the corner of the wall and the ceiling. Shift forward, shoulders over wrists, keep pushing the ground away and lower your knees carefully. Then all the way to our bellies with our elbows brushing our ribs. Uncurl your toes. You can either bring your forearms down or leave your hands where they are for a cobra pose. Then we lower down, curl our toes back under in one chunk, come to all fours, and then let your hips lift you up and back to down dog. We'll do that one more time. Walk your feet forward to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel. Inhale, lift your heart. Hands might be on your shins. Exhale, hinge back in. Then we inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, and we pause here in our mountain. Let's flow that one more time. Inhale, V. Exhale, hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees, palms flat, step back, downward facing dog. From downward facing, we shift forward, shoulders are over wrists, and then our knees gently come to our mat, and we lower all the way to our belly. Uncurl your toes and bring yourself into a cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under in one piece. All fours, and then hips bring you up and back into down dog. Walk forward, feet come to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, inhale. Glide your hands down, exhale. Then we inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and we pause here in our mountain. We'll step to the side. I'm stepping into the middle of my mat, and I am looking at this long edge of my mat. You're also welcome to go to the wall for any of these balancy type poses, which we're about to do. I will turn to face you so that it's a little bit more clear, but you can be facing this long edge of your mat. Bring your hands onto your hips. Shift your weight onto your left leg, and then take your right leg out in front of you. We're not trying to get it high to the sky. Notice if you're cranking your hip up, let your hands try to stay as level to one another as possible. And now turn from your hip joint, so you can take your right hand onto that hip, like you're dancing a jig, turn that right leg out. And your toes will turn out, then turn your toes to the sky. We need stability in our left hip, so hug that hip to the midline. Turn your right leg out, and then turn your right toes to the sky. One more time, dance that jig, get solid in your left hip, and place your right foot to the inside of your left foot. So we're making a little kickstand. You can use the wall to help this out. As we make certain that the trunk, if you will, of our tree on our left side is solid, you might trot your right foot into that shin. You might even place your right foot into your left inner thigh. But all the while, the work of dancing a jig is happening in this right hip, and the work of planting our tree trunk, our solid hip stability, is happening in our left hip. You might take your branches wide out to the side in V shape. Many of us are going to have our left hand on the wall. It's a great way to do this. And then we have 3 moments. Bring your hands to your hips, turn that right leg forward and step down. If you're at the wall, no worries, make your way back. We step wide here and extend our arms, thumbs to the sky, lining up our ankles underneath our wrists. A moment ago, you were dancing a jig, and now you will do it again, turning your right leg out so that your right foot is facing that long edge of your mat, and then cheat your left heel back at a 45-degree angle. We need to test our theory here. Bend your front knee. Our knee is not further forward than our ankle, so I got to scoop my right foot forward. You might feel the same thing. It might not look like it, but we're doing tree pose all over again. Right hip is hugging underneath us, just like when we were on our shin and doing our side plank variation. Thumbs to the sky. There's integrity in our left leg, our back leg. That thigh bone is pressing into the hamstring. And then we pause here in our Warrior Two stance. 3 moments. We'll straighten our front leg and lower our arms, turn our toes so that we're facing the long edge of our mat, and then heel toe, heel toe. Once again, I'll face you so it's a little clearer, but you can keep facing that long edge of your mat. Now we will shift our weight onto our right foot. Remember, you can go to the wall or use the arm of your sofa. And then as we stand on this right leg, we want to be conscientious of stability in that right hip, left leg out in front of you, turn from your hip joint, left toes to the side, and then back up again. We're doing this little jig dance. So from our hip, we turn that left leg out, and then left toes to the sky. Right hip is hugging beneath us. Left leg turns out. We keep it in its little jig and plant the ball of our left foot inside of our right foot. Let's check again on that tree trunk. Perhaps your left foot goes onto your right shin. Maybe your left foot goes into the right inner thigh, and then perhaps you start to grow your branches. Don't forget about the stability in that right hip. 3 moments. Bring your hands on your hips, turn your knee forward and step down. Then we step wide, arms extended, and we will turn our left leg out, cheat our right heel back, check out the spacing. So when we bend our left knee, vertical line from our knee to our ankle, and we're not letting that left hip swing out. We have that action that we found in our side plank and in our tree and jig poses here in our warrior stance. Thumbs to the sky, torso feels tall, low belly drawing in towards your spine. And then we have a few silent moments here. Slowly straighten that front leg, lower your arms, turn your toes forward, heel toe, heel toe. We need to redesign or rearrange our props for this next bit. So put one tall block at one edge and the other on the other. So we're still facing the opposite long edge. That's still the front of us. So these are behind us but within reach. So you can kind of play with that a little bit. Step wide once again if you don't mind. Think back in time not so long ago to our jig that we danced. Turn your right leg out. Cheat your left heel back at a 45-degree angle. We're not side bending here, we're hinging. So you will see evidence of that as your left hip lifts up and there's even a karate chop feel to that right hip. Reach way out with your right hand and then find your block or book on the outside of that right foot. Left arm is up to the sky. The dancing a jig is still happening in our right hip, even though it's now a straight leg, but it's not a locked out and angry straight leg. It's a fluid, muscular straight leg. You might bring the back of your left hand to the small of your back, and then let's pause and breathe here. Now we firm through our belly, bend our right knee, come through a warrior two, straighten our front leg, turn all toes to face the long edge of our mat, turn your left leg out, cheat that right heel back, extend your arms, remember not a side bend, but instead we get that action of hinging, and then we reach way out for our block on the outside of our left foot. And we can tease out more and more space here on the left side of our waist. It might feel better to you to bring your right arm back behind you. And then we pause, pressing that left big toe mound into our mat, letting the straight leg feel like it's still kind of a soft straight. 3 moments. Now firm through your belly. Let's take a little bit of a bend in that left knee and move our prop out of the way. Warrior two just for a sec, and then straighten that front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge. Heel toe, heel toe. We're hip distance apart. We'll take these 2 blocks with us as we come to the front edge of our mat. Situate your 2 blocks just off the front edge of your mat there. Take a chair pose here, so feet hip distance and parallel. Stand on your left leg. Take right ankle on top of left thigh. It might just stay up here, totally fine. Maybe we bend that left knee. We might even see if we can take our hands onto our blocks or to the arm of your couch might be the answer. Just a couple moments of stretch here. Using your hands on those blocks or even on your couch for some stability, step your right foot down. We'll make our way into a chair pose, and then we just navigate left ankle on top of right thigh and staying up or being a little higher up on your sofa arm might be the way it goes, or hands on your blocks, and then just a couple moments of stretch. Using your hands on whatever is stabilizing you, step down, we're hip distance, and we will move our blocks out of the way. Slide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands down, exhale. Bring your hands onto your mat, and then one knee at a time. Come down onto your mat and into a seated position. Just do your best with this. Extend your legs out in front of you. Cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. We just did this standing. Start to work that left leg towards bent. It may not need to go very far. Let's keep our hands behind us and our spine tall. Fingers away from me tends to work for me better. Some of you will bend your left knee quite a bit and come a little closer, chest towards your bent leg. Well, they're both bent, but your right leg. And then let's just let this stretch work. We'll get quiet. We'll turn the corner towards our final Shavasana meditation moment. But let's take a full silent minute together in this shape. Move slowly out of this. So back out of it. Place both feet on your mat. Let your right leg stay pretty straight just to get situated. Left ankle on top of right thigh. And then you don't have to go very close, but I do want you to try to keep that long spine. And then we'll settle in. One side might be really different from the other. Boy, it sure is in my body, so I get it. And then we've got our silent full minute together here. There is a giant bee in here. Actually, I think it might even be a hornet. I'm sorry. Don't mean to mess with your relaxation. Now, back it out gently and slowly. Bring your feet hip distance and lie down on your back. Place a hand on your heart and a hand on your low belly. And then feel your shoulder blades against the ground and draw those two shoulder blades towards each other. Let your elbows press down into the ground as your shoulder blades move towards each other, and then you'll start to lift your hips up. You might even decide to interlace your hands underneath you. Just a moment in bridge pose. This is actually a hip stretch also. It's called extension at the hip. And then we'll lower our hips down onto the ground and scoot our hips to the right. Let our knees drop over to the left. You might cross your right knee over your left, and it's a spinal twist. Then we'll come through center, scoot our hips to the left, let our knees drop over to the right. Perhaps your left knee crosses over your right knee. And then we'll come down the middle, and you could keep your knees bent or let one leg and then the other straighten. Once again, organize your shoulder blades underneath you, and then you might close your eyes, cover your eyes, but it's here that we lie down and receive the practice. It's our Shavasana final meditation. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If it's time, bend your knees gently into your chest, roll carefully to either side, and we'll come up, and you might even return to our cross-legged seat that we started in. You can keep your palms up or down, or bring your hands to your heart, or a prayer in front of your heart. But we take a moment for gratitude. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.